Hey everyone, today I have an amazing speaker. She's Margy Feldhuhn. Sorry, I didn't ask you for your surname.
That was perfect.
Yeah, Margy Feldhuhn, and she's the co-owner of Interview Connections, the first and leading podcast booking agency. Margy and her business partner lead an in-house staff of over 20 full-time employees in their now virtual Rhode Island office and have successfully scaled the agency to multiple seven figures. The team of in-house booking agents are the podcast powerhouses behind many successful entrepreneurs and business, including Ali Brown, AWeber, USA Financial, and more. Wow, welcome. Welcome to the summit.
Thank you so much for having me, Melody. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that you're making the time for this interview. So I really want to go over and share with the audience the amazing journey that you had growing up, because you have a really big story.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I didn't have a typical entrepreneurial journey or really childhood. I am an only child. I'm very close with my parents, but growing up, I dealt with a lot of mental health problems, both in myself with depression and anxiety and OCD, but also in my home. So both my parents struggled with mental health issues. And while they were very brilliant, very successful in their careers and in many ways, they had a lot of unprocessed trauma and undealt with mental health issues. So I grew up in a house that was hoarded, so full of stuff and garbage. And I'm like somebody, like a lot of people, I get stressed out by clutter. Like I like clean open spaces. That makes me feel creative. That makes me feel good. And when I see a lot of clutter, it gives me anxiety. So living in that environment was really challenging for me. And it really, I think I spent a lot of my life in kind of a dark place. And it was only when, my life really fell apart. I found out when I was living in Asia as an English teacher that my dad had died by suicide, and we were really close. And while I did know about mental health issues, like suicide I did not think was on the table. I did not see it coming. Nobody saw it coming. And my life really fell apart and transformed into, now I have a totally different life that is so much better in many ways, that came out of something so tragic.
Wow. How, so, I mean, that's like, I can't imagine, having to deal with suicide. And what age were you?
I was 26 and I'm 32 now. So it was 5 years ago.
Wow. And
Almost six.
And you completely turned your life around in a very short period of time.
Yes, I started going fast. Like after that happened, like I said, the house was hoarded. So I needed to move home from Taiwan. I'd been living there for 2 years, moved back to America. I really got focused on protecting my mom, like the parent I had left. And so I cleaned the house because that was the only thing I could think of to do to like take care of my family. And so I spent 5 months working all day, every day. I had like a 40-acre dumpster. I mean, it was such an overwhelming task and amount of stuff. And people kept telling me that I couldn't do it. They kept saying, you've just been through so much. Like, don't put this on yourself. You don't have to do it. But there was no one else to do it. And I had been avoiding this house and this situation my whole life. That's why I moved to Asia to teach English. I think a lot of it. And to finally face it and to conquer it and to clean the house and to do that for myself and my mom, it changed my life. That I finished the house clean. My dad died and I finished the house clean in 2015. In 2016, I started working for Interview Connections as a contractor. I became the first employee in 2017 and I negotiated 50% equity in 2018. And now 2020, almost 2021, I'm the owner of a multi-million-dollar agency. And all of that came from the worst thing that ever happened to me.
Wow. So you really, like what people saying, taking the mess and making a message.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so incredible. And I hope that this message helps people, especially this year. I know a lot of people have lost a lot. And it's so hard while you're in it. And it wasn't like a neat journey. It's not like my dad died and suddenly I was just like this amazing achiever. I mean, it was ugly. Like I really had a hard time. I said things to people and treated people in a way that now I'm not proud of because it's trauma. But through therapy, through a lot of personal development and really doing the work, because time alone doesn't heal stuff. But if you're doing the work every day and doing your best, it's that slight edge. And then you look back and you're transformed.
So what do you think was the key mental shift? What did you really have to do? Because it's a huge, massive shift from, probably seeing that, why is this happening to me, to, okay, I can do something about my life and this is what I want to do, because you must have had some sort of vision. Suddenly something just clicked and you believe that this is possible for you.
Yeah, it was really it just helped to lose that framework. Like I had been living within this framework of who I thought I was and what I thought life was and what was possible, but I didn't realize it was a framework. I thought it was reality. I thought it was just the way the world was. And when I lost my dad in a way that I just could not have predicted, my whole framework blew up. And it created a space to build something new. Like anything was possible in a negative way because something terrible had happened that I would never have predicted. But it also kind of meant anything was possible in a positive way. But it was slow going. I mean, now I look back and it's like, wow, that happened fast. And then I did. But at the time, it did not feel fast. It was a lot of journaling and not really feeling it. It was a lot of working out and it was a lot of just like feeling kind of lost and not knowing where things were going, but just keep going. Yeah. And then finally it started to come together.
Wow. So you did some journaling. What are some other techniques that you used to help you to really, get your thoughts down and things? Do you have a morning routine? Yeah.
I do. Yeah. So first of all, therapy is really important. And personal development and journaling and meditation, I do all that. And I don't see a therapist now, but if you're going through something, and I think the majority of people this year are going through something no matter what, really seeking out a professional in addition to, exercise and meditation and journaling, if you need that, I think is such a valuable tool. And then, yes, so my morning routine is I meditate for 10 to 15 minutes every morning. I use Insight Timer because I like guided meditations. It's easier for me to focus on someone talking. And then I work out 5 days a week. I do a lot of strength training and weightlifting at this point, which I really like. And I listened to Abraham Hicks. I love Abraham Hicks. And I remember this moment it was right after we finished the house clean. And then I moved to another part of the country and I didn't have a job. My family wasn't there. In retrospect, it was not a good choice, but I was listening to Abraham Hicks every morning. And I had this vision of having a business because I was a booking agent for Interview Connections. And I was booking these amazing entrepreneurs as guests on podcasts. And I was listening to their interviews and it opened up a whole new world because my parents went to, college, they went to grad school, they became lawyers, they went that traditional success route that I knew wasn't right for me. And I just kind of felt like maybe I'm just a failure because I don't want to go to grad school. And then I heard these entrepreneurs sharing their story and their business journey. And it just unlocked something. And I realized I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to make my own hours. I want to work from home. And I remember listening to an Abraham Hicks talk on YouTube. And she was talking to someone, but I just remember her saying, do you want to start something new or do you want to get in on a business that already has momentum? And I remember thinking momentum. And it's crazy now because I own a business I didn't found. And I was able to come in at, the 6-figure level and scale it fast to 7, but it already had momentum. And that gives me chills still.
Wow. That's really smart thinking. And I love Abraham Hicks. It's funny how you say that, and purchase a business or come in a business that's already working. And it's up because I interviewed Dr. DeMartini and he said the same. He's investing in a lot of businesses, and why start something new when something's already going so well and you come in, and that is such a smart decision.
Yeah, it's so incredible. And I actually, and I used to listen to The Secret a lot too. When I lived in Taiwan, I was listening to The Secret every day. So I love that you mentioned Dr. DeMartini. And it was helping me so much in so many ways, but I also didn't really get law of attraction yet. So I was feeling terrible and I was more like trying to control stuff. Like I was like writing down gratitude for stuff I wanted to happen. And one of them was actually like my dad's health because he had a mild heart issue.
Yeah.
So I was journaling every day about like gratitude for my dad's great health, but I wasn't really feeling it. And then after he died, I almost had like a falling out with the law of attraction and
Yes.
gratitude practice for a while because I was like, well, this didn't work.
Yeah.
But then I really got it that it's, how you're feeling. And of course, no matter how great a mindset you have, life happens, people die. You can't stop that from happening.
Yeah, that's what was interesting. What I talked to another lady and she said, like, there's still got to be challenges, things going to come up, and it's really going to challenge your faith in all of this.
Yeah.
But often it's a mask in a lesson, some sort of lesson.
Yes.
I want to go back because you're raising about, Esther Hicks and all these being sourced for your life. How do you think that we are really the source of our life?
So like, how do we cause our own experience?
Yeah.
So for me personally, I really love personal growth. Like I was trapped in such a small world for so long and so unhappy that once I got a glimpse of something more, I kind of got addicted to it. So now every time I reach a new level of growth or I get on the other side of a problem and have a breakthrough and have that moment, that's what I live for. And that's why I love growing a business, because it's like the best personal development journey you could ever have. And getting to next revenue levels, like now we're going for 10 million, we broke 2 million this year, next year's 10 million. It's not just about the revenue, it's about who you have to become to get there. So for me, I think what's really helped is taking personal responsibility. And I'm not talking about victim blaming and like if bad stuff happens to you, it's your fault. Like I don't think I killed my dad with the law of attraction, but seeing everything as an opportunity and a mirror. Like, what is this? And this is so helpful. We have a team now of 23 employees. And as a leader, you really have to start seeing your team as a mirror of you. So if your team is constantly confused, it's not because like, oh, they're just not as smart as me. It's like, if they're confused, you're not clear. Like, and it's a hard pill to swallow. And it definitely is not nice on the ego. But when you can see your results in your life as a mirror of what you're putting out and learn and grow, I think that is how you cause your life.
Wow. I love that because I am in a coaching group as well. And every time there's a breakdown with one of the members, the coach usually asks like, how are you creating this reality? And it's usually something that's happening in your own life that's reflected back. And it's very powerful. Yeah. Wow. So how your podcast business, so you are a booking agency. You are booking as like a contractor, right?
So
and then you become co-owner. I mean, that's a big jump.
Yes. So Interview Connections, we book successful entrepreneurs as guests on podcasts, generally like 4 shows per month, every month, so that they're growing their visibility, they're getting clients. I started as a booking agent, and I like on my interview, they were like, do you like podcasts? And I was like, I listen to Serial. Like that was it. And I had no exposure to the world of entrepreneurship, the world of, podcasts that weren't narrative true crime. And it was so cool to start there as a booking agent and then to grow up to be leading the agents and then, doing a lot of the operations and then owning the business. And I really think that trajectory, I understand our clients and our team so well because I've been in kind of every position.
Oh, right. So you didn't have any entrepreneur background. You were just teaching English in Taiwan?
Yes. Yeah. I had a sales background. And I didn't know about entrepreneurship really. Like I knew I didn't like regular school. I was a good student, but I didn't like learning that way. I would get really good at any job I got, and then I'd get bored and quit in a few months. So I had this red flag of a resume to anyone who's hiring because I kept quitting everywhere. And I did do door-to-door fundraising though. Yeah. And that was that was really entrepreneurial, but I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
And we were going door to door fundraising every single day, every weekday for the environment. And that's actually where I met my current business partner. We didn't go into business together till years later, but it was kind of a fortuitous job.
Wow. So how do you think, was it like a kind of like a passion thing that really spurred you into the business?
No, I learned about remote work. So I really wanted freedom. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to make a lot of money and like work in my pajamas, but I didn't know how to do that. I dabbled in MLM, but I was like, this is really hard. Um,
Oh, so
and
you're one of those like I just want freedom, and you're searching, searching, searching.
yes.
Wow.
And so I found out what remote work was, like just literally working from home as a contractor, and it blew my mind. And like 2 days after I learned what that was, and I said, like, I want to do that. Cause at that point I was selling, because I always did sales. I was selling at a jewelry store and I hated it. And 2 days later, I saw Jess posted that they were hiring a virtual contractor to be a booking agent. So I had no idea about podcasts. Like, this did not start out as my passion. I just wanted to work from home in sweatpants and own my time.
This is a perfect thing right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So so you've always been doing podcasts just virtually, your company?
Yes. Yep. So we've always been booking entrepreneurs as guests on podcasts. And then we've had our own company podcast that just started in 2014. So kind of old for the podcasting world.
Wow. So, okay. So there's a lot of women here who are starting their own business as well. Tell them like why they should consider podcast. Is podcast for everybody?
Yes. Podcast guesting is such a good strategy. And I'm not saying you shouldn't start your own podcast. We have our own show. We love it. A lot of our clients who we book as guests on other people's shows will eventually start their own show because they get so into it. But it's a lot of work to start your own podcast. It's not something you should do unless you really are committed and you want to have fun with the process and stay consistent. Guesting is much easier because you're going on to shows, just kind of like me joining a business that already had momentum. You're joining a show that already has momentum as a guest. So the host already has a marketing plan. They've already built an audience. They're already established. They already know everything. You really just need a microphone and headphones, and you hop on Zoom with them and deliver a great interview. So it's such a cool way to get in front of new audiences, get leads, get clients. And also, a lot of our clients end up forming really strong relationships with the hosts because they're all fellow entrepreneurs. So hosts will become their clients or referral partners. And it's just so powerful to differentiate yourself because people have such short attention spans. They might see posts or ads, but if you hear a long form interview with someone, you hear their story, you know who they are, you learn their why, the trust is so high, and the clients that come to you will be ready to sign up like that. And they'll be your dream clients who resonate really with the real you because they heard you in that format.
Yeah, because like you're putting together the summit the same. Like there's so much research involved, and you're starting from scratch, and you're not known. And it helps when you actually come across someone and they start referring other people to you, and it's so much easier to get And so that trust factor is great because you're already using established audience that are really warm to that, the the speaker, and yeah. So so you don't have to have your own podcast. You just appear as a guest. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Leveraging other people's platforms.
Yeah. Wow. So are you you've got family now, or what's your situation?
Yes. So I live in Rhode Island now, like full time, which is where my mom lives as
Yeah.
well, which was really nice. I had a big shift when my dad died from wanting to like live as far away from Rhode Island as possible to now, like, I really like being close to my mom, and especially this year. And I live with my girlfriend. And also I'm very passionate about animal rescue. I do a lot of fundraising and volunteering. So I have a little 9-year-old teeny tiny rescue dog with no teeth that I just got. And then I have an 18-year-old cat who is deaf. So she's just like yowls all day. Luckily, she's being quiet right now.
Oh my God. Yes, I remember seeing the rescue dog, and that was a beautiful story. where instead of having him sent to a home, you've taken him into the business, and he's so cute. He's a little, what do you call it? Like, he reminds me of one of those commercials.
Yes, I have he's like a poodle Yorkie Chihuahua mix. So he's our business mascot, although he lives with us because we
Yes.
used to have an office dog who would come into the office every day, but now because of COVID, we've taken the office fully virtual. So we're all local and near each other, but all the office pets are home with people in their home office now.
Wow. So how do you put together a goal and really move that forward? Because you're saying, like, okay, you've got a $2 million, you made 2 million and now you're stretching it to 10 million. That's a really big stretch. How do you start putting it together and really, share that vision and empower everybody to go towards that vision?
Yeah, like I said, I really love like concrete goals. I really like number goals because it's so easy to break down. Like when we first were like, let's go for $1 million. And when I came in as an owner, I was really focused on the business hitting 7 figures because that's like such a fun milestone. And especially for a woman-owned business, when I think only 2.5% of 7-figure businesses are women-owned, it's even more exciting to go for that. And I like goals like that because you can break them down. I think the biggest thing that kills people's goals is not having clarity on what the goal is. So it was like, okay, $1 million in 1 year divided by 12 months, it was like $84,000 a month. And then we broke it down. And then every month we were going for 84,000. So it wasn't like this big pot of $1 million. It was like we could see where we were every month. And actually the first year I set that goal, we didn't hit it. We hit like 850. We were so close.
Wow.
And then we went for it again. And then the second year, 2019, we broke $1 million. We just broke it. And then this year, my goal this year was 10 million. Like we did not hit the goal, but we did break 2 million. So I like to set really big goals and really like playful out, because even if you don't get the goal your first try, the person you become and the amount of personal development, especially if you're trying to scale fast, I like that because it forces you to grow so fast. Like I'm like a different person than I was a week ago. And I love that.
Right. So I love, and Esther Hicks talks about, getting into the vibration of things. What is it that sometimes you do that you get into that, that, because $10 million is a big shift. And some people think like, how the hell am I going to vibrate at $10 million? How do I get to that? I know you break it down to, close to like $1 million a month. How do you get yourself into that state and really motivate your team to work with you full on?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing in hitting big goals is mentorship. Like one of my favorite things about entrepreneurship was when I figured out that all these amazing entrepreneurs, they all had coaches, like every single one. And then their coaches had coaches. It's like this, you don't know from the outside. You're just like, wow, these people are really good at stuff. And then you realize that there's this incredible mentorship that you can invest in. So it's by having a coach. Like when we wanted to hit 1 million, we joined Allie Brown's Premier Group because that is a group for 7-figure women. And when we first got in that room, we felt like total imposters, but it leveled us up. And having a mentor like Allie, who was thinking at a 7-figure and beyond level, it made it so easy. I mean, not easy, it was challenging, but like it expands your mind, because if you don't have a mentor like that, you don't even have a framework or think it's possible. But like we work with 2 mentors now, and one of them is scaling to 100 million this year. Wow. And so it's very easy to believe 10 million is possible when you're being mentored by someone who's going for 100,
Yeah. Wow. I really appreciate that and bringing in, because the language that they speak, it's so different. The beliefs that they have are so different. Yeah. And whatever, like, you can't help, like, you listening, because I listen to my coach, who's also a 7-figure. And yeah, it's like, delegate, don't do the housework. You got to really use your time effectively, got to get really rigorous. So it's amazing with the mentorship. And as you say, like, when you hear someone speak about 100 million, 10 million just looks, okay, that's all right.
Yeah, exactly.
fit in. They'll fit in.
Yeah.
So, wow. I appreciate that. So you are very, you're such a dynamic young woman. And you
Thank you.
seem like you've got so much wisdom in you. And I can't help thinking that you've always kind of been a very level-headed, very, mature woman going forward. What do you say for women who are like, looking at women like you, who feeling as if they don't have what it takes, and like, oh, she's just like, she seems to be born with it, or whatever it is. What do you say to women who've got that doubt in themselves?
I wish that you could meet me 10 years ago because you'd be like, ooh, all right. Like, that's the thing about personal growth. Like, if you're not kind of horrified by the person you were 10 years ago, you're probably not growing enough. So I would say it's a very full circle moment to hear that, because I really believe there's no such thing as who you are. There's just who you're being in any moment. And so it's so funny to hear like who people think I am now. And it feels so different from who I used to be. And so I would just tell them that, first of all, there's people looking at you. Whoever you are, there's people looking at you and being like, man, I can't get to where she is. And it really is like consistent personal development. And you might not see a difference day to day or week to week in the beginning as you build up your momentum on personal growth. But then, like, even look back a year ago or 2 years ago, and I bet you'll be more appreciative of yourself and how far you've come. So that's the big thing I would say. Like, when I first started getting interviewed on podcasts, it was bad. Like, it was really bad. But I do this like 6 times a month at least. I'm being interviewed on a summit or a podcast. So now it's much easier, but like it was not easy for me a couple of years ago at all.
Wow. So, okay, so the summit's called Real You Unlocked. What do you think is the key to unlocking the real you?
That's such a good question. I think you're just becoming more yourself all the time. I think the key to unlocking the real you is giving yourself the freedom and flexibility to know that you'll never be this solid thing. You can't put yourself in a box. You're changing and growing all the time. So I think that's the biggest thing in unlocking you, is giving yourself the freedom to become a totally different person in a year than you are now. And neither one is like more the real you.
Wow. Thank you for that. Wow. You've got a free gift, and it is a boot camp, podcast guesting boot camp. Can you tell us about that, please?
Yes. I am very excited about this and a little scared because we've never done anything this intensive before. So this is content we teach all the time. So what it is, it's really like soup to nuts, A to Z, everything you need to understand to be prepared, to have all the materials you need to be a guest on podcasts, to know what shows are a good fit, to understand the sizes of the audience, to know how to monetize your appearances, both before the interview, during the interview, after the interview, how to be a great guest. So it's really like you can go into it and 2 days later be an expert and know exactly how to monetize the strategy in your business and be ready to implement it. And it really is, it's kind of going to be like a live event. It's almost like a 2-day intensive, because my partner Jess and I are going to be live basically for 2 days straight with you in all of these sessions that are going to build on each other. So it's going to be really, really fun. We're really excited to be able to be so present with people for 2 straight days. And we grew Interview Connections from 0 to 7 figures with no paid advertising at all, because we leveraged the strategy of being a guest on other people's podcasts. And then once we hit 7 figures, we did start doing paid ads. But really, you can go full organic to 7 figures. And even now that we supplement in ads, I'm still, like I said, on at least 6 shows a month, because it's been so valuable at this level to keep using it to grow our business.
Wow. That's amazing. And is this for free?
Yes, it's totally free and it's in
Wow.
our Facebook group. So when you click the link to register, it will give you the schedule. So make sure you like block out your calendar because, like I said, it's going to be like intense. We're going to be live together for 2 days. And then it will prompt you to join the Facebook group. And that community is where this free live event is going to take place.
And when is this happening?
It is December 14th and 15th, and we are on the East Coast, Eastern Standard Time in the US. So it's 10 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. at night. Both days you want to have blocked off. We're not going to be on video the entire time. It's going to be a lot of live video, and then we're going to break so that you can implement. And we have a workbook for you to fill out so that you can walk out of those 2 days with a blueprint in your hands of how to implement this.
Oh, you've just come in the perfect time then, because the summit just finishes on the 12th, and then so you have people have 2 days to get themselves ready and registered.
Yay, perfect.
Wow, this is what do you call, like, it's perfect timing. So yes, so thank you so much for your time. It's been really incredible, and I'm just so smashed, like, to come across you, and and have you come back and say yes to this summit. So thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it,
Oh,
Margy.
thank you so much, Melody.